Sorry. As a nationwide condemnation continued to trail the invasion of the Abuja residence of Justice Mary Odili of the Supreme Court over the weekend, security agencies are yet to claim responsibility despite contrary evidences. What happened? Why was the residence invaded? What factors led to the raid? And who is actually responsible for the raid? Was it even legal? And will those responsible be held accountable and sanctioned? Abuja-based human rights activist and convener of Concerned Nigerians Group, Comrade Adeyanju, joins us on Sahara TV to dissect this issue as the events continue to unravel. Deji, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you so much for having me on the show again today.
There's been this consistent and systematic attack on the judiciary by the executive arm of Buhari's government. Let's start by asking you, talk us through what just happened with regards to who gave the order and why the need for the raid in the first instance.
You see, just like Harry Truman said, the buck stops on the table of the president. We must stop shifting the buck. President Buhari is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Nobody in this country can order the police, the DSS, or the army to make a move against an independent arm of government like the judiciary, such a very strong institution like the judiciary, without the say-so of the president. So the president is the one behind the attack. The president is just using Malami as a disguise, to escape liability. But the president is the one who gave the order, in my view.
Let me ask you a perspective on this from a legal perspective. What's the process for a search warrant issued to the police or security agencies?
Yes, the lawyer approaching the magistrate must show cause, reasonable cause at that. And without showing cause or reasonable cause at that, the magistrate is not likely to grant the order. And revelations have come to limelight that the magistrate was misled by the Attorney General of the Federation, Malami. The magistrate said he was lied to by the AGF. Forget about the afterthought of the AGF. It's sad, it's regrettable that. And this is why I have advised Malami to resign as Attorney General and go back to KB to sell the church card or sugarcane. Because he's not qualified to hold that office. He's not qualified to hold the office. You cannot. Malami is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association. The NBA should disbar him for his numerous attacks against the judiciary. Malami is a huge disappointment on the legal profession. And what he should remember, and people and his likes of him should remember, is that there's life after government. That this impunity against respected judges of the Supreme Court, that generations of born will never forget him. He will be infamous forever for his conduct. That Buhari's will come and go, but the legal profession will remain. That no lawyer in the history of this country has brought so much shame and disrepute to the legal profession like Malami.
The senselessness in this entire government is encapsulated in Malami. According to a lot of critics, including yourself, and based on your recent reaction round, one begins to wonder that, considering the fact that Malami is quite emblematic, it represents every form of stupidity that has been embraced by this government. But one begins to ask, there are other SAN in this government, and considering the pedigree of Malami, from what observers and the professional legal luminaries have actually seen, they've considered Malami as not being, thinking strategically. His legal opinions are always incoherent. He seems disoriented, so to say. One begins to also see the fact that he generally lacks a basic understanding of legal matters. Now the question is, what kind of SAN are now being churned out by the profession, by the legal profession? Does this reflect the quality of the advocates?
It's simple. This is why I have simply advised him to go back to selling the church card in KB. Because that is a profession that will most suit him. Because if you look at his composure, his body language, it supposes that he does not respect the profession that he belongs to. Because how can you go? For instance, they have laid down procedures. Even a baby lawyer today or a lawyer in equity knows that you cannot go after judges without going through the NJC. There are laid down rules and procedure. These judges have not, you cannot go after any judge in Nigeria based on our laws in this country Not to forget even about Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is too apex to be ridiculed. You cannot even go after any normal judge in this country without going through the NJC. The NJC there must have been a petition to the NJC. The NJC must have invited the parties to defend themselves. A decision must have been reached by the NJC. The NJC must have written to the police or the SSS or the relevant security agencies involved. The agency must have given the okay and the approval for an arrest warrant to be issued or a search warrant to be so soft and so issued. So imagine the steps to check. All these steps were put in place to ensure the doctrine of separation of powers and independence of the judiciary. Somebody comes from KB, which is Richard Card mentality and a sugarcane mentality, and tell you that all these things does not matter, that he can run Nigeria by fiat, that he can do anything, that our laws does not matter. And such a person will later come and claim that he's a senior advocate of nonsense. So you can see the quality of the kind of people in this government, and this goes to the issue that people have been saying, that the government came from inception just to perpetrate impunity and lawlessness.
Now, there's been a kind of mute indifference on the part of most, the elite and the political leaders in the country, with the exception of Wike, who had actually strongly condemned the attacks and spoken up against the illegality of such action. Concerning the fact that there seems to be a norm of this absurdity in this government, and the precedent that is being set towards emasculating the judiciary. We've seen the instances of how this government, the executive have actually turned the National Assembly into a rubber stamp. Will they be taking this template to a farm? Shouldn't Nigerians be bothered that someone will come around again and take this template to a far more egregious level? Should Nigerians not be bothered?
Yes, this is why we say when you set a dangerous precedent, you are not just doing it because you are in power today. Look at PDP. When they started using army to rig election, little did they know that the same army would be used to rig them out of power at other instances. So the danger of accepting these dangerous precedents being set by Buhari and his co-traveler, the Richard Katsela Malami, is that once these things become the norm, somebody will come and escalate them, to another level in a different dimension. And this is why I am most disappointed in Yomi Osinbajo, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria and a so-called pastor, who is the vice president of this country, who is seeing evil being perpetrated against the judiciary, against the legal profession which he belongs to. But because he's enjoying government and he's enjoying the perks of office, he decides to support, because we can no longer say, Yomi Osinbajo just keeping quiet. No. He's supporting every evil and tyranny going on in the country. He's actively participating. I believe he's even giving them policy direction. Oh, no, if you go like this, I think you'll be able to get the judges more. Because we saw Atiku Abubakar as vice president. Atiku Abubakar was not even speaking. He went against the president, openly, and fought the president in this country. So this whole idea that now Malami is disgracing the judiciary, what is wrong if Osinbajo speaks up? If Osinbajo speaks up, is Osinbajo fighting the president by speaking up? Is he trying to remove the president from office by speaking up that this thing is wrong? Is he not mindful that he's going to leave office? Is he not mindful of what's posterity? Is he not mindful that the legal profession is being destroyed by sugarcane seller from KB? So these are the issues. So you cannot tell me that Osinbajo is not culpable in all of this. Of course, he is culpable in all of this. Of course, he is part and parcel of the whole onslaught against the judiciary, and nobody can say anything otherwise.
Beyond the strong condemnation coming from the Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerians expect more proactive actions beyond just these strong-worded statements and pushbacks. What do you advise should be done? And we've had instances where there's been an assault on the judiciary in other crimes, and we've seen members of the bar come out to stand against such kind of impunity. Shouldn't the NBA be more proactive, taking more proactive actions as far as this impunity, culture of impunity is concerned by this government?
The NBA should disbar Malami for the assault against the judiciary. Malami he should not be a member of this legal profession. He should not be. He's disgracing the profession, you know, and the NBA must rise up to the occasion. Institutions, professions are protected all over the world by its members. You know, so we cannot have a situation where the people who should be the one protecting the institutions are dancing to the tune of the vice president or the tune of the attorney general of the federation, you know, especially when these people have not been above board. You know, so there should be no justification whatsoever to continue to allow him to be a member of the bar, because from day one, you know, because from day one, he has been anti-legal profession. So that's my view.
Finally, let me get your view. In your recent statements condemning the actions, you demanded that there should be, your organization, Concerned Nigerians, actually demanded that everyone remotely involved in this show of shame must be held accountable and sanctioned. Do you see this actually come into play?
No, it may not take place now, but we believe that subsequent government should not leave this, you know, unattended to, because the person who sent them is the president, and the people doing it are his errand boys. So there's no way that somebody can sanction himself. However, to protect, you know, the concept of separation of powers and the independence of the judiciary, which is the foundation upon which every constitutional democracy rests, you know, the actions of these people assaulting the judiciary should not be left unattended to. These people should face legal sanctions, they should face punitive sanctions, they should face administrative sanctions, so that we can protect our constitutional democracy, we can protect the judiciary, and we can protect separation of powers in our country.
Adeyanju, thank you so much for your insightful analysis. We appreciate you.